There's a poll that came out a couple of years ago that I keep thinking about. The question was simple. How much do you need to make in order to be considered financially successful in America today? Boomers said somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000. Gen X, about the same. Millennials, about the same. Gen Z said almost $600,000. Read that again. $600,000 per year before they'd consider themselves financially successful. Meanwhile, the actual average U.S. salary right now is $66,000. So an entire generation is walking around feeling like a failure relative to a number that's almost 10 times what most people in the country actually make. That gap doesn't come from nowhere. That gap is the product of an algorithm. I want to talk about that today. The thing that's quietly calibrating what success looks like inside your head and what to do about it. My name is Kyle Blackwell. I'm a certified financial planner, and I've spent almost 2 decades sitting with families working through their money. And alongside that work, I've started building something called Purpose Path, a financial stewardship program for young adults. I'm 40 years old. I'm a man. I'm 40. Yes. So I grew up before the internet was on phones, before social media existed, and before the algorithm started teaching us what to want. I've watched the comparison trap evolve from the neighbor across the street has a nicer car than us to a constant 24-hour personalized stream of carefully selected highlights from thousands of people you don't know. And the financial cost of that shift is way bigger than people realize. This video is about how the comparison trap actually works in 2026, what your algorithm is doing to your wallet, and how to take some of that power back. To understand the algorithm, you have to understand that the comparison trap is not new. It's just gotten more efficient. You probably remember January 2021, pandemic boredom, stimulus checks, an app called Robinhood that made the market feel like a video game, a guy on Reddit calling himself Roaring Kitty. GameStop went from $20 to almost $500. For 3 weeks, it felt like every group chat in America was a stock tip exchange. Total strangers giving each other, "We're all in this together, to the moon" energy on Twitter. People putting their rent money into a meme. I'm not bringing that up to relitigate it. I have a whole separate video on what Roaring Kitty got wrong. I'm bringing it up to point out something underneath it. That whole frenzy was driven by people watching what other people were doing on a screen and not wanting to be the one left out. That's not new. We've been doing that as humans forever. What's new is how fast and how personal the screen has gotten. The same wiring that ran the GameStop frenzy is running quietly inside your phone every minute of every day, just personalized to you, just calibrated to your specific weaknesses, just recommending the next thing. There's a name for what's happening in your brain when you scroll. In 1954, a psychologist named Leon Festinger published a paper. He called it social comparison theory. The basic idea was this: humans have an innate drive to compare themselves to other humans. It's not optional. It's not a flaw. It's wiring. We do it to figure out where we stand. Are we doing okay? Are we falling behind? Are we ahead? Festinger figured this out in 1954, when the only people you could realistically compare yourself to were the people in your own town. A few neighbors, a few coworkers, the kids you went to high school with. That's a few dozen people max. Now multiply that by 1,000 or 10,000 or however many people there are in your feed. Your brain isn't wired for that. It can't process social comparison at the scale your phone is feeding it. Every scroll is your brain measuring itself against another curated highlight reel, hundreds of times an hour, thousands of times a day. That's not how you were built to live. The wiring isn't broken. The environment is. Here's the part most people don't think about. Your algorithm is a teacher. Whatever you spend the most time looking at, your phone learns to show you more of it. If you watch luxury home tours, your phone teaches you that big homes are normal. If you watch hustle culture content, your phone teaches you that grinding 20 hours a day is normal. If you watch couples on private jets, your phone teaches you that private jets are normal. You don't consciously decide to believe any of this. It just becomes the background, the water you swim in. That's what I mean when I say the algorithm is your classroom. You spend more hours in it than you spent in any classroom you've ever sat in. And it's teaching you, at minimum, 3 things. 1, what success looks like. 2, what's missing from your life. And 3, what's normal to want. Then you wonder why you feel restless, why you feel behind, why what you have isn't enough. The Gen Z $600,000 number didn't come from a financial textbook. It came from a feed. Thousands of micro inputs over thousands of hours calibrating a generation's idea of enough to a number that almost nobody in the actual economy is going to hit. And if your sense of what's enough is calibrated to a number you'll never hit, you're going to spend a lot of years feeling like a failure, even if you're doing everything right. The comparison trap shows up two ways. You've probably heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out. That's the version where you scroll, you see something that someone else has, and feel an urgent need to grab it. The trip, the shoes, the crypto coin, the certification, the relationship. You're afraid that if you don't move now, you'll miss the thing that would have finally filled you up. So you spend, you commit, you buy. But there's also FOBO, the fear of better options. This is the opposite trap. You have a job offer, a house in front of you, a relationship that's good. But you can see just by scrolling that there are infinite other options out there. Maybe a better job is around the corner. Maybe a better house. Maybe a better person. So instead of buying, you freeze. You wait. You don't commit. The years go by. Both traps come from the same place. A feed full of options that's bigger than your brain can process. FOMO makes you grab. FOBO makes you freeze. Either way, you're not actually making decisions from your own life. You're making them in reaction to what's on the screen. I'm not going to tell you to throw your phone in a river. You're not going to do it. I'm not even going to do it. Well, I've thought about it. But I want to give you 3 practical things that have helped me and have helped a lot of clients I've worked with. First, audit your inputs. Open up the apps you spend the most time on and ask yourself, after I scroll this for 15 minutes, do I feel more peace or less peace? Do I feel grateful for my life or do I feel dissatisfied with it? Do I feel clearer with what matters or more confused? If the answer is consistently less peace, less gratitude, more confused, that's bad. You don't have to delete the app, but you do have to start unfollowing accounts that are quietly teaching you to be unhappy. You don't owe anybody a follow. Second, start a gratitude over comparison list. Pull up a notes app right now and write down 10 things you're grateful for that have nothing to do with what other people have. I had a friend laugh today. The coffee in my cup is hot. I have warm socks. God is faithful. It sounds simple because it is simple. But every time you feel comparison creeping in, instead of doom scrolling, you go back and add to the list. 2 months of doing that and your default mental state starts to shift. You can feel it. Third, define enough. What does enough actually look like for you in this season of your life? Not for somebody on the internet, for you. What does your life need to function well, support the people you love, and let you be generous with what's left over? Write that down. That's your number. When the algorithm tries to convince you that the new number is 600,000, you can pull out your number and remember what's actually true for your actual life. The Gen Z 600,000 thing isn't a Gen Z problem. It's an everybody with a phone problem. The defense is the same for all of us. Define enough on your own terms. Defend it from the noise. I want to close with the part that puts all of this in a different light. If you're a Christian, you don't actually need the algorithm to tell you what success looks like. You already have an answer. A steward measures success by faithfulness, not by accumulation. By how well they handled what they were given, not by how it compares to what somebody else has. That's a different scoreboard entirely. And it's a scoreboard the algorithm can't touch. Because the algorithm can show you what other people have. It can't show you what God has called you to do with what you have. That part is between you and Him. When you live from that scoreboard, the comparison trap loses most of its power. You're not trying to keep up because the game has changed. You're not chasing a number you'll never hit because the number was never the point. You're stewarding a life God gave you in a season He put you in with the people He surrounded you with. That's the answer to the algorithm. Not deleting the apps, changing the scoreboard. So here's what I want you to take from this. The comparison trap has been around forever, but it's been weaponized in your lifetime. Your algorithm is a teacher, and most of what it's teaching you about money and success is wrong. You can't disconnect from it entirely, but you can take a lot of its power back. Audit your inputs. Start a gratitude list. Define enough on your own terms. And if you're a Christian, remember that the scoreboard you're actually playing on has nothing to do with what shows up in your feed. I wrote a book called Purpose in Every Paycheck that goes deeper into this. The chapter on contentment has a lot more on the comparison trap, FOMO and FOBO, and how to play your own game in a world that's built to keep you off of it. Links in the description. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one.